Hello, welcome to the Alluring Womanhood and Femininity Show. Sorry I'm late. Monique Head here. Ooh, it's warm. I had to change my clothes. It's so hot here. Relationship coach to passionate marriage-minded women. And you can catch me here usually every Monday at 2 p.m. Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central and 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific. Oh, man. So I'm not at home, and it took me a while to get things set up, and so I'm running just a little bit behind schedule. Let me see if we're all good here. I'm at Mama's house. That's where I am right now. So, how are you ladies doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Yesterday, when I recorded and I was... there she is. Hi, Dorita. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry I'm late. I'm feeling urged to continue the conversation from yesterday. But then I'm not really sure yet. And yesterday I really spoke about the confidence to be an alluring woman and really stepping into that and doing practices that help to boost your confidence. Excuse me, because, you know, how we find ourselves in relationships, how we relate to men, how we approach men is, you know, there are patterns that we have that are not just about relationships, that are not just about men, you know, because how we do anything is how we do everything. But today's topic, I'm feeling, let me kind of feel into this for a moment. Today's topic, I really want to speak about not becoming the default woman, like not being in a relationship by default. And I spoke about this years ago through a video, and it's called, you know, Don't Become His Default Chick. And I say this is because many of us have had experiences where, you know, we have a man, there's probably a man in your life, and you're not in a titled relationship. And you want to be, because there's that sense of validation. You know, I was speaking to one of my clients, and one of the things that she mentioned to me is that she's not so much interested in marriage, you know, because, like, she's past that stage of, you know, having kids and building a family and things like that. But it's the part of knowing that someone has chosen you, you know, they've chosen us, and that you get to choose back. And that's what I believe. I believe that men choose first and we women choose back. So anytime I hear a woman say, you know, I knew he was going to be mine, and this, and that, and I saw him first, I don't know. I'm sure that it's possible. I just think that those type of situations never work in a woman's favor. It's very rare. I should say that it's very rare that they do. And so, it's always important that we create intention, right? That we just don't kind of go along and do things by default, that we really create intention in our lives. So what does this look like? Because you know that I have a story for you. Well, I'll share with you. Years ago, in my early 20s, I had gone to London with this man who was not my husband, right? So that was highly inappropriate, but I was a teacher. I was a high school teacher, and so I had a really bad day. And this person was someone that I met from, you know, college. He was 7 years older than me, and we never had a titled relationship. Never. And I really wasn't sure where I stood with him. But, you know, he was a friend. He was a friend. I'm going to speak about that next Monday. Yeah, that's what I'm going to speak about next Monday, about man friends, ex-lovers who we call friends, right? So this man, you know, he said, well, let's go to London. I had a bad day. He was like, let's go. And I had been wanting to go. I had family there, and I had never gone before. So anyway, to make a long story short, we get off the plane, and my guy cousins greet us at the airport. And one of the things that he says, you know, well, what are your intentions with Monique, with my cousin? And so he says, you know, I will push Monique in a wheelchair if I had to. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, that's so sweet and that's so endearing. And I had met him when I was 20. I believe I was about 26 at the time, you know, when we traveled together. And it was our first time, like, traveling together, too. And so I'm like, oh, that's so sweet and endearing. I just, you know, that's so nice. But here's the deal. It wasn't until I left, he stayed, because he wanted to travel to other countries, and I think he went to Germany and some things like that. But I stayed, and so while I was on the airplane, we were getting ready to depart. And so the flight attendant was speaking to the two gentlemen who were in the exit row. And she said to them, hey, you know, do you understand that you're sitting in an exit row? And if in case of emergency, that you would, are you willing and available and, willing to help? And so the gentleman just kind of nodded his head. And so she says, sir, I need a verbal affirmation from you. And when I tell you that hit me, it was like a light just clicked and turned on so quickly. I was like, yes, a verbal affirmation. We need a verbal affirmation, because some of you have been in relationships by default, where I'm hearing that you want to be claimed. You want to honor your desire to be claimed. You want to be in that title relationship because you want to know that you're number one and the only one. But that cannot happen through a default, like default status. Or it can happen through default status, but who wants that? Who wants that? So I remember this man telling me, like, everything has an expiration date. I don't even know how we got in the conversation. We were just talking about life and how everything has, an expiration date. And so, to make a long story short, I don't know, I think we grew apart from that experience, because I knew that, yes, it sounded very sweet and like, oh, I would push Monique in a wheelchair when my cousins asked him, what are his intentions with me? Are you going to marry her? What's what? And I really just had to wake up. Another example that I want to share with you is that I have all these stories from my past, but this is good because this is a learning experience, and I like to teach from experience. Is that I guess my first adult relationship, like title, well, I thought that we were titled. You know what? Back then, you just never know. Like, you think that you're titled, you think that you're in a relationship, you're with somebody and claiming, but it's not really so. And so this man, we were part of each other's lives. We had gone out, and it was like one thing led to another, and it was so quick. And I guess we were in a relationship, but we never really had that conversation about it. And because I knew that we never had that conversation, I never really knew where I stood with him. And I know it's important that we women want to be, like, committed. We want to be in a monogamous relationship. We want to know where we stand. You see me clearly? Which one is better? Okay, you can see me right here with the light. I don't know. So, I met another gentleman, right? At that time, I was working in retail. This is before law school. I was teaching and also had a job in retail. And I met another gentleman. And, we went out to, like, play pool or something. And at the end of the night, this man says, you know what, I want to be with you. And I'm thinking, like, man, these guys just say anything, But I said, well, what do you mean? How do you know you want to be with me? And he says, well, I just like the way I feel around you. I like your energy. I want to be around you more, is what he clarified. And I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's nice. I'm thinking that's nice. Then Renee says, okay, I'm going to answer that. Let me finish the story because I can get caught off track. So, I'm thinking, okay, that's nice. And so I go back and say, well, you know what? I told my ex, I said, you know what? I met someone and he says that he wants to be with me and I want to see what it's like. So we're going to have to stop having sex. Yeah, I said that too. I didn't know any better. So he was like, one of the things, I don't remember all of the conversation, but he says, well, why would you do that? Da, 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 da. I said, well, he said he wants to be with me, and I've never had that conversation with you. You've never just said, hey, I want to be with you. I told him that. And he said, well, that's not how you do it. You'll know by my actions. And I said, no, I need a verbal affirmation as well. It's not just by actions. So I'm saying that to say, just like the flight attendant, is that actions, like a head nod, is not enough. There has to be verbal affirmation. And one of the ways that you can make sure that you don't go into default woman status, like become the default chick, is by being clear about your intentions, right? What is it that you want to feel and experience in a relationship? And to prevent that from happening is to stop chilling. Now, there's a culture now that's all about this Netflix and chill. And and I'm finding that even for, women 45 plus, that's still happening where, hey, come over to my house, I'll cook for you, let's just hang out, let's just hang out at my place. And I want to encourage you not to do that. I want to encourage you to refrain from that and actually to be out in the open, to be seen, to be more active. So that's the one thing that I want you to do, is just to really not chill. And to know what it is that you want. And to really honor your desire. It keeps going back to really honoring your desire to be claimed, so that you don't have to be in a relationship by default where, a man has really professed his love for you, just like my husband did, where he told everyone, like, this is the woman that I love. And I'm like, oh, okay, why is he saying that? I like that. When they're like, oh, that's nice, Where you can have a man profess his love for you, who wants to claim you, who wants to provide for you, who wants to like protect you and really love you and cherish you and treasure you, where you feel loved, adored, you know, where you have more peace of mind because you know where you stand and you can feel like your life is forward moving. And you don't have to worry about other women. You don't have to worry about, well, I feel like I can't do what I need to do because I'm not really sure what's happening with this situation. You can be done with the situationships. That's what I'm saying. You can be done with the situationships. And I would love to help you to do that by helping you to develop practices that are going to honor your desire, get clear on the type of messaging and the language, like how you can actually speak to a man in a way that doesn't have him pull away or become really offended. Because I'm teaching you by experience. Like I have to learn this thing. I have to study this thing because I didn't want to make it, keep making the same mistakes. So, if you feel like you want to be supported in this area, and it's, if my story really resonates with you, go ahead and send me an email. For those of you who are watching the replay, you can click the link below in the description box and get access to my community. You can find my email there. Okay? Let me ask you this question. It says, how do you balance the desire to know what's next and not being a default chick, not pushing to know where we stand too quickly? Okay, so what's coming next, and Okay, so how do you, the balance between not being a default and wanting to know what's coming next. Got it. Let me kind of sink into this, Dorita. Well, at some point you want to have a conversation about, where do you see us? Like, what are your plans? What is it that you want? You can ask them, like, what is it that you want? You can have conversations about the love life and so that you know where he is and you can know where you are. You say, I'm trying to figure out how to handle that with someone long distance. So not Netflix and chill, but I do spend 2 days with him during my vacation. Only spent time in person 3 times over the last 10 months. Okay. So I'm hearing that. Do you want the relationship to progress and move forward? Is that what you want? Because I feel like over 10 months that there are going to be some sort of clues and hints about you two. So you can think about the language that he uses. Is he saying me, my, and our? Does he talk about having a future with you? Does he talk about moving, like being in the same location? Has there been conversation around that? I like how I feel with him. I do believe I do. Okay, awesome. Have you had conversations about, like, what is his language, Is it very inclusive, or me, my, or is it, is it we and our and us, or is it me, my, mine? And also I want to ask you your language too. Is it our, or is it me, my? Is it inclusive? Including him in like future plans? Have you had discussions? Tell me about that. Okay, you said we haven't really talked about that. We make plans to see each other. Okay. Okay. Well, it sounds like what I'm hearing is that now, so you like the way you felt, or you like the way that you feel when you're with him. You've seen him 3 times in the last 10 months, and you want to be able to progress the relationship. So what that's going to take is really some clear language and messaging so that you can be able to express your desire without the risk, and without the fear of rejection, so that you can get an understanding of where he is and what his intentions are. We should talk again. So that I can learn a little bit more, because I feel like I don't have enough information right now, and I want to be able to provide you with, get a clearer picture, but provide you with, something that you might be able to say. So some sample languaging and phrases that you can be able to tap into what it is that he wants. Okay, so let's talk again. It's been a while anyway, so I want to know what's up with you. All right, ladies. All right. Okay, great. Any other questions? I don't see any. Sorry I'm late. Next week is the Treasure Week, so there will be no Alluring Womanhood and Femininity show. But as always, I love you, and I say that because I see your spirit, and I don't see the regulars here because I'm a little late. But yeah, you ladies enjoy, and have a blessed week. See you next time. Bye.